Hello and welcome to the Spartans Boxing Show here on Sportinarium. I'm Lakey, and as always, I'm joined by my trusty co-host, the wonderful Mr. Arv Me Too. Hello, Arv. You all right?
Hello, Lakey. How are you? I'm great. Are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, and
Brilliant stuff.
it's a massive honour for us here on the Spartans. I know it's a massive honour for you, Arv. We are joined today by the King of the Journeymen, Mr. Peter Buckley. Hello, Peter.
I'm all right, thanks.
So pleased to have you on. I mean, for us, it's a real honour. You know, we were chatting to you off air a minute ago and saying, you know, we've spoken to some fantastic fighters over the last few months since we started this show. But I've got to say, for me, I mean, growing up watching boxing, I saw you in the ring a lot. You know, fighting all manner of people, and Arv as well, obviously. So for me, it's a massive honour to have you on. It's you know, a little bit starstruck, but I'm sure we'll get through it.
We'll get through it.
Yeah. We'll get through it. And I've introduced it before we go any further. I mean, I'm introducing you as King of the Journeyman because for those that don't know you, what was your boxing record? What did you end on in the end?
I had 300 fights in the end, 300 dead.
300 fights. I mean, Arv, you had 100, didn't you, mate?
My word. Do you know, for me to have that 100, like, it was so hard. How the hell Peter managed to get to 300, I'll never know. You know, like, that is just some fantastic achievement. It's not just getting to the 300. It's the amount of rounds he fought. He fought 10, 12 rounds, fought for titles, you know, proper big titles as well. And people forget to talk about that. You know, it's not just about having the 300. It's the rounds and the people he's fought. What makes this thing so amazing, what he's achieved, what Peter's achieved, you know, like and that's what makes it all so special.
100%. I mean, I introduced you as the King of Journeymen as well, Peter, because what I do want to touch on before we sort of get into the nitty gritty about your career and who you fought is there's a book, I believe, coming out soon. I mean, Arv was telling me yesterday, I think, when we were having a chat.
Yeah, I've got to send that over to you.
Yeah, I mean, what's that all about? That'd be great to hear about.
Well, my book's called King of the Journeyman, obviously, and it's just about me growing up as a kid, starting amateur boxing, and then I was in trouble for a few years, and I never went back amateur boxing. Like my last amateur fight was NABC finals when I was 15 against Mark Tibbs from Repton, Jimmy Tibbs' son.
Oh, Mark Tibbs, yeah.
Mark was a good fighter. And I lost to Mark in the final, and then I was just in trouble. I was in that youth custody centres till I was 20 years of age. And then a friend of mine who was a boxer, Rocky Lawler, I was in the pub one night having a drink. I just got out of prison. And he was saying to me, you should come train here again and drink talking. I said, yeah, we will, yeah. Next day, he's not round my house. And said, get your kit. So I got my kit. Went over to a gym in King's Standing, what was a pub, old pub. Started training there with Nobby for a few weeks, and then the pub got closed down, demolitioned, and was just going around gyms in Dudley and all over the place, just sparring, training. And after 3 months then, Nobby said to me, right, get your medicals done, get your kit, you're fighting next week. And I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit quick, but I didn't really understand the pro game. So I went and had my first fight in a nightclub in Stafford, the Coliseum nightclub in Stafford. I boxed a geezer called Alan Baldwin, who I thought I beat quite easily, but they give it a draw. And then I had another 299 fights.
My God, that was October 1989. I'm just looking at that one with Baldwin.
That's right,
Brixton at the Coliseum, Stafford.
You know, Peter, that's amazing, you know. Peter, I know you for a very long time. You know, I know nothing about this. I just know you as a good guy who fought regularly and helped me to defend myself the same as yourself. I didn't know that you was a person who got
just touching
involved in the law.
Just touching that, Arv. I mean, did you guys train together? Is that how you?
Yeah.
For the listeners that may not know you, see, I've got to ask this. I mean, so you two are good mates, yeah? Yeah. So you trained together with Nobby. I mean, so I'm presuming, Arv, you know, Peter obviously started boxing before you did.
Miles before me, I actually had to learn and change to be like Peter, to not make sure I didn't get hurt, because
you didn't
I didn't go. You know,
I remember you taking a fight down York Hall against Junior Witter when your opponent didn't turn up a sweet.
That's right.
Four round,
yeah.
Or 6, I remember.
Yeah.
You were actually in my book, right? Because I actually said on your 100 fight, I was there, right, in Norwich, right?
That's right. I never knew you were there.
I boxed on the bill, mate. I boxed on
Didn't
the
know.
undercard. Yeah.
Oh, I never knew. I didn't know.
Yeah. See, I've got a good memory. It comes things like right. And you boxed the kid and they give it a draw, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
right.
really
Big
bad
heavy, yeah.
because you won that fight easy, right? And that's what I'm saying. As a journeyman, you see, right? I say to everyone, you got to be thick-skinned because you won that fight. That was you was having your 100 fight, then packing in, right? And you won that fight easily, 3 rounds to 1 or whatever it was, right? And the referee give it a draw. But that's what I'm saying. You should have gone out on your last fight as a win, but because you was a journeyman, they give it a draw. That proves you won the fight. Do you know what I mean? I had 12 draws in my career. That's 12 wins, what I didn't get, right? Yeah. And I had 100 odd fights, what I lost by half a point, always in their backyard. So my record looked worse than what it was. But if they would have given me even 50 of the wins what I won, I would have had the biggest winning streak in British boxing history.
You would have gone further than Tony Booth.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I say, journeyman, like I say, you get people who say to me, "Yeah, your Peter's tough." I weren't tough. I was clever, man. I know it's but you know yourself. None of us took a hiding.
Not many. No.
And when we sparred, we had good spars and you know, learnt off each other. You know, great. I'd do it all again. I would if I could. Do you know what I mean?
I forgot to say this one thing, Lakey. Guess who was in my corner in my first ever fight?
Was it me?
Well, yeah, go on then. Was it Peter?
Peter.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Look on YouTube. My very, very first fight against Alan Bosworth. You took me in, not Nobby.
From Northampton.
Yeah.
Did I? Yeah. God.
Yeah. You took me in, not Nobby. You took me.
I took you in. I know I took you in a few times, but
no, you didn't just take me. You picked me up and you dropped me to where we had to go. You bandaged my hands.
Yeah.
Took me, and then you took me back home as well.
God, you know what? See, I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
yeah.
When was that? What year was that of?
Oh.
About 96.
96.
Was it 96? Yeah. Yeah, so I've been involved about 7 years then, yeah. God.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you guys, I suppose, in Nobby's gym then, if he wasn't, did you all used to cover for each other doing the corner work and stuff then as well?
Well, I had a seconds license anyway, so because Nobby had a lot of fighters and he'd be fighting, some would be fighting in London, some would be in Liverpool. And he said to me, get your trainer's license, your seconds license, take people in for me. And you know, he used to give me a few quid for doing it. So I love doing it, actually. I did like doing it.
Wow. Amazing. So, I mean, who did you, I mean, in your career, I mean, Arv was touching on it earlier. I mean, it's amazing. Going back to the 300 fights, Arv, when you look at Peter here on the camera, you'd never know. His face is totally and utterly unmarked.
No chance. I don't even think you've ever had a cut. I really don't. I mean,
I've had one cut, but that was on my nose. I've never had a cut eye or anything.
Never on 300 fights and no cuts. I mean, on your eyes. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, you look at the likes of Ricky Hatton, bless him. You know, when he first started out, his eyes used to spill blood every fight, didn't they? You know?
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
I mean, that's obviously a big commendation to your defensive skills. I'm taking it you boys used to work hard on defence when you were avoiding shots in the gym. Was that kind of?
But nobody was a master of you, Peter. The way you done it was absolutely fantastic. The way you caught all the shots on your gloves and stuff, that was hard to do. I couldn't. It
was like taking him on the pads.
Yeah,
it was like taking him on the pads. I thought, really. Do you know what I mean? But you just learn as you go along. Do you know what I mean? It's like I didn't know then what I knew after 20 fights. Yeah, well, I learned. Like I say, I was a good amateur, and because I hadn't been in the ring for 5 years, boxing, competitive, I had to relearn myself again. Like and I picked.
Didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, 5 years from my last amateur fight to my first pro fight. Mm.
How many amateur fights did you have, Peter, if you don't mind me asking?
I had 54 and I lost 4.
Wow. So, I mean that in itself, 54 and losing 4, I mean, that says straight away, I mean, we know you're a brilliant boxer. So how did you, I mean, that's a really, did you win any amateur titles or did you just have the 54 and then go straight?
No, look, so I won when I was about 13, I got to the semi-finals of schoolboys. And I lost to Nigel Wenton. It was a great amateur. Nigel.
Oh, fantastic fight, Nigel was.
Yeah, I actually boxed his brother as a pro, Richie Wenton. But Nigel, I lost to Nigel in the semis. He won it that year then. And I think the year after I got to the quarterfinals, and then And then the year after that was the NIB season. Then I got to the finals. But I won my first amateur fight. Lost my second one to a kid who was unbeaten and a lot heavier than me, but I took the fight because it was short of a fight. And then I won my next 19 fights until Nigel went and beat me. And then, like I said, I had a really impressive amateur record.
So, Peter, when you had when did you think to finish from the amateurs? because you stopped and then you didn't fight for another 5 years, did you? You didn't fight 5 years after. What made you finish with the amateurs and thought, oh, just take a break? What made you think?
I was locked up, you see. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I was 15, then I just used to keep getting in trouble, get out the nick, go back in trouble. You know, and I got 2.5 years, and I got 12 months. And I was just always in remand centres. And look, so I just for 5 years, from when I was 15 till I was 20, I was just in and out the nick. Do you know what I mean? So amateur boxing never really, it didn't come back into me. I weren't bothered about boxing. Do you know what I mean? I used to watch it, but I weren't interested in like that.
So well, that was absolutely fantastic when Rocky Lawley came up to you like it was meant to happen, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I always say, if I wouldn't have met Rocky that night in the pub, and he wouldn't have knocked my door the next day, who knows where I would have been? Wouldn't be sitting there talking to you now. That's 100% true. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, in life, you take a left and a right, don't you? You know, I took a left that day when Rocky come. If I would have took a right, where would I have been? You know what I mean? So it's fate, really. I believe in fate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely fantastic, that.
Yeah. So obviously when you had that professional fight where, you know, unfortunately it was a draw when it sounds like it should have been a win for you on your debut. I mean, so how did the journeyman sort of route? I know from when I've spoken to Arv, you know, it's a lot of it comes down to, you know, you never go into the pro ranks with the mindset, actually, I'm going to be a journeyman. You know, I want it because you won some titles. You know, you did win some. I'm just looking at your record now. I mean, obviously you won British, the Midlands area super bantamweight titles,
and the featherweight as well,
and super featherweight. Yeah, just looking there, and then there was I mean, so obviously you started off winning the title. So how did the journeyman route sort of come around? I mean,
look, so when I first started, I didn't know what a journeyman was when I first started boxing. I didn't even heard the term, so I didn't know what it was. Look, so I won my first fight, lost my second, then I won my next 6-7 fights, I think. So I wasn't a journeyman. I wasn't thinking about titles either. I was just thinking, you know, so look, say it's only after I boxed Duke McKenzie and that I realised what levels was in boxing. And I took the Duke McKenzie fight. Like I said, I've said it 100 times. I was naive, and I went down there thinking I went there to win. I didn't go there to turn up, and I went 5 rounds with him. There were a day's notice, and I was devastated when I got beat. You know, it was like, "Poor, that's the end of me boxing there." But Nobby said to me, "Look, you've just lost to a world champion, and you know, a former world champion who actually went on to win another 2 world titles.
Outstanding.
And actually,
different weights,
exactly 3 different weights. But what you don't realise, when I boxed Duke the first time, if you watch it on YouTube, and then you watch the second fight when I boxed him, I took the second fight for money. I had a bad arm. If you remember, I hurt my shoulder in the Midland title fight, and instead of having 6 months off, like a sensible person should do, I didn't. I carried on boxing. And that's how I learned to box basically with one arm sometimes, you know what I mean? And it was only like when I was going to places like Scotland and places like that, I was trying my hardest and not getting the win and always the away fight happened. I thought, God, I've won this fight. So Nobby would say to me sometimes, look, go up there, have a move about, right? You're still going to get paid the same. You ain't going to get this. So you start thinking like, and it gets ingrained into you a little bit, do you know what I mean? You think, or I'd been on the piss the night before, not being phoned me up. There's a fight going. How many rounds? Who's a kid? Do you want it? I never said no to a fight. You know what I mean? I'll ever tell you, in our gym, we had a board, and my name used to always be on that board. People used to get pissed off.
No, it's funny because I'm looking into my brain now. I remember
the board.
You used to walk in and you write your names on it.
Yeah, who you fighting? How many rounds? When? And my name was constantly on that board, and some used to get pissed off. People used to be like, Peter's fight again, and I'd be like, I wouldn't say no to a fight. Do you know what I mean? That's basically it. Yeah.
So what weights did you go up to then? I mean, you started. We were saying you won at sort of super bantamweight. You know, so what was the highest weight you fought at then in your 300 fights?
I probably I'd come off holiday once. I come off holiday once. I was about 10.5 stone. I boxed Gary Walcombe, who went on to win British light middleweight title. I think Gary had about 2 fights in. He was a big lad compared to me. Do you know what I mean? But
you know what? I didn't know you fought him. I fought him as well. He won a British title, and he's a huge guy. And you was smaller than me. Yeah, you were smaller than me. You could have been about 9 stone something at the time. I boxed him at about welterweight. He was a huge guy.
Yeah, he was. But I'd been on holiday and that, and been eating. So I was about like walking around. I was about 10.5 stone then. Do you know what I mean? I mean today I'm only like I walk around now, I'm only like 11.6 now, do you know what I mean?
So, I wish I was.
Yeah.
Lockdown.
You know what, Peter, this is how, and like this is how big the fella was. He defended his British title against Ryan Rhodes and got knocked out.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Rhodes. He was a good fighter as well, wasn't he, Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan.
Spice Boys Day. I mean, survival. I mean, again, looking at you, I mean, you had the 44 wins, 256 losses, which, like you said, a lot of those were debatable losses.
Yeah.
You know, Arv and I have had many conversations about Arv's career. You know, the ticket seller was always going to get the nod. You know,
2 rounds up straight away. You know
yeah, you're on a loser before you like you say, 2-3 rounds down the minute you stepped in the ring. But I mean, you only got stopped on 10 KO, or on your record it says 10 KO losses. I mean,
yeah, I'd say
are they
5.
debatable?
I'd say 5 of them. Like so the second Duke McKenzie fight, I pulled myself out because I had a bad arm. Anyway, I weren't going to beat him, obviously. But I'd say the only genuine people who stopped me, Bradley Price stopped me genuinely once. Paul Lloyd stopped me genuinely once. Duke McKenzie, Colin McMillan, and Alessio Freitas. The rest of them. Well,
can I say something quickly, Peter? And Peter's a humble, modest guy. Don't forget them guys who stopped Peter. They were bigger than him. They were nothing.
I'm just saying he was real. I mean, Freitas. I mean, he was a monster, wasn't he?
Yeah. They only stopped Peter because they were bigger. I mean, people fought people like Cal Brook and took them the distance. And look at they were like big punchers, you know. And my opinion was, Pete, that when you fought people like Bradley Price, when they stopped you, the fact that they were just too big. That's all it was. Not because
it wasn't only that. When I boxed Bradley Price, right, I went up to Scotland, right, on the day, and the journey was a nightmare. It must have took us 5.5 hours. And I got out of there, I was starving, hungry, and straight away they've gone, you got to weigh in, you're on first. So I've jumped on the scales. I was what, probably 9.5, 9.6, I don't know, right? And then someone said to me, don't forget Bradley had weighed in the day before, big lad. Don't forget I boxed Bradley on the Mike Tyson undercard in Manchester when he was a lightweight. Yeah, and he beat me on points. So when I boxed him, I don't know, it must be 12 months later, probably longer. It was a hell of a journey. And then when I got there, I jumped on the scales, but like I say, and I heard he was a lot heavier than me. And I was starving, hungry. But and I was literally out of the car, on the scales, saw the doctor, bandaged in the ring. And to be honest, I didn't fancy it. He hit me with a shot, put me straight, caught me square on, put me down, caught me again, put me down. The referee just called it up, but I wasn't really bothered. That it don't hurt me prior because like I've never gone through a fight and like swallowed it. And I don't think I swallowed it, but like I just couldn't be arsed. I've been fucked about the journey, the weight, everything. It just done me fucking head in.
Peter, I remember it very well. You know, there was times when them journeys was like devastating journeys, bloody laughed the way around the world, and you got there, and sometimes you was messed about. 1 minute you was out, then 1 minute you was in, then cut your gloves off, sit down because you're not ready now. And that could play with your mind. And see, I understand going through that. I remember how terrible it was. Things like that. It weren't too good, and we did get messed around.
Yeah. Because I remember once I was boxing on the Nassim Bill in Manchester. I was supposed to be on first. Then I kept getting put back. I got in the ring. I think it was 20-1 in the morning. They've stopped all that now. But at the time, and they cut my fight from 8 rounds to 4, which was, yourself still get the same money. But like getting in the ring at that time of night, after taking your gloves off, putting them on, taking them off, man, it's just such a noise. Do you know what I mean?
So another thing, there's another one where you didn't get stopped, but the referee stopped it, and you'd gone the distance with him a few times already.
Richard Everett.
I was on the same bill with you in Coventry.
That's right. Yeah, I'd already boxed him twice before.
Yeah,
and I don't think he should have been stopped. He never.
Shouldn't have.
Big puncher.
Big puncher. But you know what? At the time, you caught the gloves on your hands, and you was about to throw back, and the referee jumped on you and stopped you to make him look good. Yeah,
Paul Thomas. Yeah. But
I mean, obviously you've got a lot of short note. I mean, what was the sort of? I mean, for both of you guys, it's probably a relevant question, but. What was the shortest notice you ever had for a fight? I mean, obviously you guys have gloves, will travel,
Yeah.
I mean, what was the kind of shortest sort of notice you had?
I've had 2 hours for a fight. I have
2 hours. I mean, how does that work? I mean, because obviously with this day and age, it's all about everyone's got to weigh in and all that kind of stuff. How did that work?
Well, I'd been training that day. Got home and Jason Nesbitt was supposed to fight somebody, and I don't know what happened, but. Nobby phoned me up and he's gone, there might be a fight going. I said, when? He said, about 2 hours at Dudley. I said, well, I'm just having my dinner. He said, well, I'll ring you back. He rang me back, said, yeah, the fight's on, make your way to Dudley. Went to Dudley, jumped on the scales, probably 9, 12, something like that. And I was boxing Rob Hunt, who was a big lad, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I boxed Rob, went the distance with him, no problem. But I've had fights like that loads of times. I've been in the house or in my flat, whatever. The Ords bib, Nobby's outside. Come on, get your kit. Fighting in London. I didn't even ask who it was. You know what I mean? I have to tell you, I didn't care who it was. I just jumped in the car and went for a fight.
I mean, your nickname in the ring, Peter, was the Professor, wasn't it? They used to call you the Professor.
Yeah, I never liked that name. I never give myself that name. What happened? I was up Scotland once. Craig Stevens, MC. I'm going to introduce you as a Professor. I was like, don't be a cunt, you know, man. but he did anyway. But I never ever went to a fight and said, oh, introduce me as a professor. Because, like I said, there was only one professor in my life, and that was in my boxing, who I thought was a professor. And that was a Zuma Nelson. That's what they used to call him.
Yeah.
Mate, I wasn't no Zuma Nelson. Do you know what I mean? Nowhere near it. You know what I mean?
But they were obviously, I mean, the way I look at that is obviously because you had such fantastic defensive skills, you know, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Really good.
And still look like you do now. I mean, you look pretty much unscathed from this, you know.
Yeah, ain't too bad.
Yeah, so, I mean, you must have been a professor or something, mate, you know,
well,
to get through 300 fights, you know.
I mean, Peter, in all fairness, you know, in every fight you had, you never came out with a black eye or anything. And even I went into fights and come out with black eyes, blacker than what I am, and that never happened to you.
I had 2 fights. I come out with 2 black eyes. Once my 200 fight when I boxed Baz Carey, and I shouldn't have been fighting anyway because my brother had died 2 weeks early, and my head was all over the place. But they'd laid on the fight, but I didn't box very good, and Baz beat me. And there was another time when I was about 21. I boxed Paul Lloyd, and I had 2 black eyes, and I had my driving test. I had my driving test on the Monday. And I failed my driving test, and I swear I drove brilliant. And I failed my test because I took it in an area not round by me in Solihull, and I had 2 big black eyes. And the bloke instructor looked at me like I was a full groit, and I failed the test, and I went fucking mad. And then I took my test 2 weeks later. By me, didn't drive very good, and I passed. So that was only 2 times. I didn't like coming out with black eyes. I didn't like that.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. So, I mean. What are you? What? I mean, life after boxing. I mean, do you still keep your hand in with the boxing game, or are you completely shut away from it now? Or
well, what it was when I first packed in, I was helping out in an amateur gym for a bit, but I always had my pro trainer's license. You see, so what I've done, Errol Johnson, who I've known Errol for years, Sid Razak started coming down my gym, and he used to be with John Pegg, but he wanted to change. You know, he didn't fall out with John or nothing. John's the same geezer. And Sid said, well, we can start training me, blah, blah, blah. So started training Sid and started taking him into fights and that. And then Errol decided to be, we take Kev McCauley or someone like that in, and I used to just take him in. And I've done that for a few years. And then my mum was a bit ill. Well, she became ill, and I was looking after my mum, and I didn't have time to go down to the gym and that. You know what I mean? It was more important looking after my mum. And then my mum passed away 4 years ago, and I never got back into the boxing. I never got back into it. I just got a normal job like normal people too. Because I've got 4 grandsons, and I spend a lot of my time. When you got a gym and that, you've got to be there 5 days a week, and I don't have that commitment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a similar story to what you say, Arv, isn't it?
I mean,
family and stuff. I mean, because you both of you guys have got so much knowledge, you know, not just in the skills required to be a good boxer, you know, but in regards to how boxing works, you know, the professional side of the game, the management, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and a lot of us know that there's a dark side to boxing, and you know, it's there. So you guys, you know those minefields, you know, those obstacles that maybe a lot of young male and female fighters are going to be sort of coming up against. And I have this conversation with Arv a lot and say, you know, you've got so much that you could bring to young fighters, you know, to enrich their careers, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter, I know you did for a while when you finished boxing. You did use your seconds quite regularly for a while.
Yeah.
I know you look at you and that show and think, how do you find the time to do it? Because you did do it for a while. You had.
I did, yeah.
And quite regularly at one stage.
Yeah.
And I did think to myself, how do you find the time? I don't know how you used to find the time to do it, because you did do it quite regularly, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I've done it for a while, but like I say, when my mum would come here on that, I didn't have the time, and my mum was more important than boxing all day long, mate. So that boxing took a backward step. I still watch it, I love it. You know what I mean? Know all the fighters still, and boxing's a great sport in the world to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I mean, obviously for you guys, I mean, I know I hate to. I don't mean this disparagingly, but do you both think? Are you happy with where you got in your careers, or I mean, or do you look back and think, you know what, I wish I could have done things maybe differently?
I wouldn't have changed a thing. I wouldn't have. Not one thing.
No.
Peter, I'll just say this: when I went to Nobbies, I thought I'd be able to become a champion. I really did. And then when I spoke with you and Brian, and you both said exactly the same things, that's what I'd done. I changed, and I thought, well, I'll do what you guys do. Because there was times when I tried to win a lot and come out bruised and thought I'd done enough, and I see you and Brian, you never had a mark on you.
Yeah. But it's hard game. It's hard game.
It is a hard game, and like you say, and we've said it a lot already, but unfortunately, when you're getting called up at short notice, and I'm sure you're going in with the promoters, main men, they're like you say, you're on a loser already. But if you're getting good money for doing it, I don't know about 2 hours notice in the middle of dinner for a fight. I mean, bloody hell, going into a fight of half a full tummy, that must have been an experience. But what was it? I can't even get off the sofa after I've eaten. Let alone go and jump in a boxing ring. But yeah, good on you for that one. But what would you say was your toughest fight for you in your three? I mean, if you out of 300, I mean, bloody hell. But yeah.
Look, I always rate Duke McKenzie as the best boxer I ever boxed. Alessio Freitas, Paul Lloyd was a very good fighter. You know what I mean? But there's too many to mention. But like, I boxed some class geezers. Scott Harrison, very strong. You know what I mean?
He's still fighting now. He's back fighting.
Yeah, he's on Bieber, already.
Yeah.
Bieber, yeah.
Really strong geezer. I think he lost a few of his best years when he was in prison and that.
Yeah.
But strong as an ox. Nice geezer as well.
Yeah. And he's. I mean, I know that he's got a lot of people at the minute saying, "Oh, he shouldn't be boxing. He shouldn't be boxing." He's this, that, and
why
the other.
not? He's fit, he's strong.
I was thinking that.
He's fit, he's strong. He can still say no. He'd take a lot of people to out Scott would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's found the dedication again, and I'm sure for him. Like I say, I've never spoken to him, and I'm not speaking on his behalf, but I'm sure now getting back to the boxing, it's given him something to focus on again. It's
I would have thought so. Yeah,
the training, the lifestyles back there, and his problems have been well documented over the last few years, haven't they? And if it's keeping him on the straight and narrow and it's giving him focus, I think.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, we all have problems. You know what I mean? It's just how to deal with them. Do you know what I mean? But he's on my Facebook, Scott, and every day he's training. And he looks, age has put a number to some people, and he's training like a Spartan. Do you know what I mean? He's runs. I see him doing big runs. He's all work. He looks in brilliant shape. You know what I mean? Best look to him. I like him. You know what I mean?
Well, that's fantastic. That is because why people would want to say he shouldn't be boxing is beyond me.
It's keeping him at that level, Eddie. Do you know what I mean? It's good for him. I think it's good for him. He's got something to focus. And he's still got something to give, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I can, at the end of it, I know, I'm sure a lot of it comes back to, like we were saying earlier, without being just rude about the British Boxing Board or BIBA or any of those sort of, licensing authorities. It's probably a lot of it is because I don't know if the British Boxing Board wouldn't give him a license when he wanted to come back. I don't know the ins and outs of it.
I don't know that either.
But, obviously BIBA have licensed him. And, I think he's had one fight under BIBA. Then obviously, I think that was during the lockdown behind closed door kind of event.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, he stopped it.
But he's back on. He's on TV. He's on Fight TV. He's getting the coverage again.
Give the bloke a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, give the bloke a break.
Don't kick someone when they're down, man. You know what I mean? Because he's up there now. Fair play to him,
yeah, and that's unfortunately we're in that kind of culture now, aren't we? People have to put the boot in when people are feeling a bit crap and shit, But no, good luck to the fella, and hopefully, he'll reclaim some of his former glories,
Hopefully,
fingers crossed. That's what happens for him. But in regards to your future, then, Peter, I mean, obviously we've taken up a lot of your time already, but you got the book, King of the Journeyman, that's in the process. When you're looking to have that one out?
It's on sale from the 21st of June. Waterstones, Amazon, WH Smith's, place like that. So it's easily available. Yeah, you can order it online as well. You can pre-order it online.
Oh, brilliant! That's good to know. So we'll put that out on the radio for you and on the YouTube, and you'll have to send me a copy of the photo of it, Arv, so we can put it on the website.
As soon as we finish off on here, I've got it. I've saved it, and I will send it to you, like the actual. It's a nice cover as well.
Yeah, it's a nice cover. Yeah.
No, we'll publicise that for you quite happily.
At some stage, I'll get that. Pete, you'll have to sign it for me. You know.
No problem.
He done that with Jane Couch. He's smart. He's a clever lad. He wants the first copies signed, first copy, so he can put it on eBay. Make some money. That's a businessman, really. But and like Jane with her autobiography, I mean, Jane's in the when we spoke to Jane Couch the other week, she's in the process of her books being turned into like a TV dramatisation.
I know.
Are they thinking is something similar like that in the pipeline with you? Do you know of, or
that was meant to happen, wasn't it, Pete?
A few years ago, State Street Pictures in America got in touch with me, wanting to make a film about me, and it was going on for a couple of years, but nothing ever come of it in the end. Do you know what I mean? But see what happens.
Fingers crossed. You deserve it. That would be
100% deserve it. 100%.
Yeah, that would be an interesting story with your life. Like you say, you're quite open about the problems you suffered in your youth. Going to prison, boxing gave you that escape, gave you the focus. You've had 300 fights. You've been ripped off in a lot of them. We know that, but as was Arv. So what a bloody story that would be for TV.
It'd be a fantastic story. The thing is, I've known Pete for a long time, and you would never know. We had some laugh with it, We used to go. We just stay together in Scotland, remember?
Yeah, all the time, God. Loads of times, me and I've been all around the place,
Has he always been this much of a gentleman, Arv? Was he always a bit
He's always been a good guy.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the nicest people you could meet in boxing. I'm not just saying no one ever had a bad word to say about him. Do you know what I mean? Always got a smile on his face. Top lad. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you, Pete. That's nice.
It's true. I speak the truth, mate. And that's what I'm saying. I ain't just saying it because you're no one ever had a bad word. So top geezer, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, send you the 20 quid later, Pete. But don't you think with the new haircut, I've said Arv needs to carve out a new career now because he's gone bald. He's lost his dreads. He's gone bald.
Yeah, I know he's lost his dreads. I know. Yeah.
I said I think he needs to pursue a career as an Ian Wright lookalike.
Yeah. That'd be a good nod. Yeah.
I just had enough Peter them dreads. I had them all the time, most of my life, and I just had enough of them. So
if you would have cut them up when you was boxing, you would have been featherweight.
Yeah, it would have been all right. I've done it feather. Yeah. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, Peter. We've taken we've had you on for a little while now, so we don't want to steal too much family time and on this wonderful Sunday. But thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Pete.
No problem.
This has been Lake. I've been joined by Mr. Arv Meter, and we've been very, very honoured to be joined by Mr. Peter Buckley, King of the Journeymen. I'm going to call him the Professor. 300 fights, former champion and Midlands champion. And thank you very much.
Midlands.
Twice Midlands. Two-time
Midlands.
Right. So thank you very much for joining us, Peter. It's been an absolute pleasure. And keep in touch and good luck with the book.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
And it better bloody become a film.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, cheers. Nice one,
guys. Thank you.
See you, Alf.
See you now. Bye.